All right, well, thank you for joining me. So thanks for the invitation. So I'm going to talk about our institutional depository called Digital Commons Data Becker. So from DOI to discovery of the data set. So I'm going to, so first, oh, it's not going. So I give you a first overview of Digital Commons Data Becker. As a short, I call it DCDA Becker. So this is a WashU Medicine institutional data repository administered and managed by Becker Medical Library. It uses the same platform as Mendeley Data, which is one of the great repositories supported by NIH, like Harvard Dataverse, Dryad, Open Science Platform, Zenodo, etc. But with additional benefits that come with the Digital Commons Data, which is commercial platform. It's a paid version of Mendeley Data. So we can have a bigger file size, and also have additional metadata fields, etc. And it's a fully mediated. That's major difference. So we don't give access to end user. So only admin can mediate all the data deposition, which actually improves metadata quality because curation is done by an expert curator. It is a general repository, which means we accept all data types. So if people don't find the data type specific repository, they can come to us. So recently I developed this interactive repository selection decision tree. So if you click on it, it'll take you to a tool. Then you answer several questions. It'll give you a recommendation on which repository you should go to. So if you have an institutional repository, choose that one if you can't find a domain-specific repository. It meets the desirable characteristics of a data repositories. If you click on it, it'll take you all the features is required to be recommended as a repository for federally funded research for the NIH. It provides searchable study level metadata for data set discovery, and it's fully indexed by search engines. And most important thing, it assigns a digital DOI, digital objects identifiers as a persistent unique identifiers. It can provide, this is a unique thing about our repository. No institutional repository that I know of offers control access, but ours does. Because we are medical school, we have a lot of sensitive data. So we provide control access, which means people have to sign the data transfer user agreement for sensitive data. Then we give them access to a data set for a limited time. And once they download, we close it. So we have more control. And important fact, it's free of charge for WashU researchers. No curation fee, no deposit fee, even though we fully mediate the process. And of course, it has a version control. And Zenodo has a concept DOI, right? When you publish data set, it signs one DOI that includes all of them, and then each version has its own DOI. Digital Commons Data or Mendeley Data handled a little differently. So it has the same string of DOI, and it just put .1, .2 for the version. So they don't assign a separate DOI, but has a versionless DOI. So it's important for researchers to give it to, for example, publication. You don't want to put the version there in case you have an updated version. As I mentioned earlier, it's a highly customized. So it's fully mediated with no end user access. Data curation and deposition is done by the Becker DMS team. So expert curation done by our curators improves data set quality. And we have additional metadata fields, which will show additional metadata fields for Digital Commons Data Becker. It has other contributing institution. If it doesn't have a role, you can still put it in. It has a revision history that keeps track of content change inside the file. If it's a visible metadata change, it will show. I will show you like a version comparison. And there are keywords. They have a disciplinary, which is a mandatory, but keywords are additional metadata fields. This is the home page of a DCDA Becker. So if you go there, there's the initial verbiage here. If you read it, there's a FAQ document, which is a custom FAQ document specific for Digital Commons Data Becker. In the upper right corner, there's a question mark. That's a general FAQ for all Mendeley data, all Digital Commons. data. So it's not specific to our repositories. We had to create a separate one. Unfortunately, they won't create a button or anything, so we had to embed it into a paragraph and hyperlink. And there's a submission form. If you click on it, it'll take you to other page where you can provide the details about what you want to do. And there's a pre-selected with data deposition because you have other consultation we provide. And then this one particularly, it lists all the desirable characteristics and then kind of has another column showing how our repository meets each feature of the desirable characteristics. And if you look at the left side, there's a filter. You can filter by publication date. You can move this bar by at the year level, or you can select a specific date from here. Data types. Right now, we only have a data set. I'm in the process of creating one collection, but I can show you an example how you can create that one. Institutions, these are affiliations of the contributors and usually have a role or ID associated with it. Access type, since we offer both open access and restricted access, it has a open access data types, restricted access data types, and some of them might have embargo. So, and then funders, you can filter those things. And I want to briefly talk about version control. So when you land on a data set record, if it has more than one version, it'll have, click on compare versions. If you click on it, it'll take you this page, and then it'll highlight. If it's something is added, it's highlighted in green, like this one. We had to add a little extra wording into the description. This is a restricted access data sets. You can't see any files. You have to like contact author and stuff. But if you look at the DOI, so the first version has a .1 and the version 2 has a .2. So I just want to show you an example. And so this one only shows the metadata record level change. But if something is changed inside a file, it doesn't catch. So we actually create a custom metadata field called revision history, and then we capture that thing. And if you click on it, I'll show you later because I don't want to leave this slide. So if you click on it, it'll show you the field we created. It's a custom field. And this is typical data submission process. As I showed you earlier, they click on the submission form and they fill out the form. We get the form and it has some details. And we normally start with a consultation meeting. And we ask them whether it's human data or non-human data so we can determine the access type, open versus restrict access. And then we collect the metadata. First of all, we need a title and then corresponding author, and then we can mint DOI at the moment. So when you create a data, they mint a DOI right away. But it's a draft DOI, so it's not findable yet until you publish it. And we create a box folder. It's a staging, a cloud platform where we collect all their data set, the metadata template, README, all the supporting document. And then we go through the creation process and make sure files are all open file format for interoperability, and then all the human data is de-identified, and the supporting document actually allows others to interpret and reuse. So data dictionary file for spreadsheet kind of thing. So once the creation is complete, then we upload the data. At this point, all the data is in the box, not in this DCD Becker yet. Then we upload the completely created data set into DCD Becker. And I'll show you how you fill out the metadata. So there's a metadata collection sheet which we use to fill out the metadata, but that one does not go into the DCD Becker. We use it to fill out the metadata. But README gets uploaded. That's for others to use to understand and interpret and reuse the data. So README will get uploaded along with the data set. And we generate the preview link, and then we send it to the depositor, make sure they're okay with everything. So, sometimes we have to revise again, or if they approve, it's, good to go. Then we go to the final stage, which is the QC check. So we have a QC manager, make sure everything looks good. If that passes, then we publish. That's how the process works. So there's a curation process is a little different depending on whether it's a human data or non-human data. Non-human data is open access, very straightforward. So we schedule a consultation meeting. We just get some basic details and set up the box folder and ask them to upload the thing. We send them a README template, metadata collection template. If they have a like a spreadsheet, we also have a data dictionary template because a lot of times requesters are not familiar with that, so they can fill out. If they use a RedCap actually generates a data dictionary automatically. But if it's a basic researcher, they don't know how to do it. So I just give them data dictionary template, which they don't realize you have to have, the all column labels have to have a description. And what is it? What type? Is it integer or is it weight or in a float and all that stuff? And then allowed allowed values. If it's age, you can't put 200, right? So it's an automatic validation. So you have to have allowed values and then make sure this is a straight raw data or transform. So if it's in transformation, you got to put the equation. So those are the kind of things you capture in the data dictionary file. And then once they upload everything, then I will check, even README I go through. So there's a README says created by someone, but reviewed by a curator like me, and then completed. And then if everything is complete, we go through cycle multiple times. So once everything is done, then you upload. Human data, on the other hand, is different. The very first thing we ask is
Can I interrupt for a sec?
yes, yes, of course.
While I remember my question,
Yeah.
the data dictionary, it sounds like is this is a place where you could define the attribute values that are in the raw data set or in the best scientific copy of the data. So it's like at what point could you pull those out and add them, say, as keywords to help with the discovery of the data set?
So it's a little different. So keywords are for the entire study level. So I'm going to show you the example of the template, the data dictionary template, and then you will probably have a better understanding of what I mean by that.
Okay.
So
And yeah, it'd be helpful to know like how
yeah, so it's
prescriptive is the template and
right.
is it like totally optional or how detailed do people need to do it?
So hang on a second. The metadata collection template, and then other template. Okay, hang on. It's opening. So let me, sorry for the slow. Okay. Can you see this one? So this is what the data dictionary looks like. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet, it have a column heading, right? The column heading is usually variable. So variable name, and then you have to have a description. What is it? Subject ID, age, or measurement. So you have some description of this variable. A lot of times people use acronym. An acronym might be obvious to you, but it won't be obvious to other people. And then even sometime down the road, you might not remember. So you need to capture that as
So
well.
this
And then,
this is a
yeah.
template because it has variable names already. Are these just examples?
If this is a template, I'm giving them an example so they can
Okay,
use their own. So data type explains, a lot of times they don't realize what this data type means. So this is the explanation of what this means and give you some example. And
okay.
then you have to have a unit, definitely have to have units, and what is allowed value. And then notes, some explanation. If there's a transformation, you put that thing in
It
there.
looks pretty straightforward. I mean, it looks like what I would have expected, but what I'm interested in is here for this for this discipline or domain, are you? are you going to validate it and say like, oh, you gave me data and the data dictionary isn't um, doesn't cover everything? Or is it just kind of like, okay, check, there's a data dictionary, there's a data set, let's go. At what level of prescription are you enforcing this?
So as a data creator, I cannot validate the results. That's a data generates responsibility, validating the results. So what I'm checking is to make sure if I receive a CSV file, for example, I make sure all the column headings are captured in data dictionary. So
Right.
you
Okay.
can,
That's pretty good.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
all we can do. And make sure if it's a de-identified data, make sure there's no HIPAA identifier in there. For age, for example, if it's over 90, you have to have a group. It's over 90. You can't have a specific age, something
Okay.
like that. So
There's
that's the
all
kind of, yeah.
sorts of policies as well
Yes,
that has to do with human research subjects.
correct. But
Um,
this one, yeah, it's basically that's all I check. And make sure all the column headings are captured in data dictionary with the proper description, sufficient details, and data type, units, and allowed value and everything.
okay. Yeah, just the broad question I had was this could be useful for discovery. So you want to
Hmm.
find the data sets that have, the particular parameter you're interested in. So is that exposed when you're searching for data, or is this a level down? You have to find the data set first, then you can consult the data dictionary.
It's only useful when you find the data set because it's associated with the data set.
Hmm.
you know, it won't be useful as a standalone file. Is what I'm saying. This is a
Yeah.
supplementary file for specific data file. So as a standalone, I mean, you can use it as an example, but it won't mean much unless you tie to the actual data file, which use this variable name.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem. So your human data, as you mentioned, so the first thing we check is informed consent. Informed consent. So make sure the sharing language informed consent allows you to share data openly or restricted, and then we check with our HARPO, Human Research Protection Office, and IRB to determine what data can be shared and under what access type. So we provide the IRB approval number and blank copy of informed consent. So, and they typically allows the aggregate summary data to be shared openly, but individual participant level data usually, even if it's de-identified, is shared through restrict access. So we have some checks and balances. And once the appropriate access type is confirmed, then the rest of the process is pretty much the same as the non-human data. And this is the metadata templates. This is the Excel spreadsheet. So it has a title, authors, corresponding author or dataset owner, research type. This is a drop-down menu. It's this one. We have two different templates. One for the open access. This is open access. The other one for the restrict access. It's slightly different. And the embargo period, if it's there's a drop down menu again, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and stuff. If it's restrict access, no embargo, it's pre-selected, locked. Funding information, detailed description is a contextual. Steps to reproduce. This is unique to our platform. And this one, if you publish the method using either Protocol.io or STAR method, you can just put a DOI. Otherwise, you have to put something in there. And discipline, you have to select the discipline and keywords. We highly recommend using mesh term because mesh term has a unique URL, so it's good for discovery. It's indexed. License type, we have a drop-down menu, uh, related contact and associated publication, additional files. So Jonathan has a question.
Uh,
Yeah, feel
the
free.
pro
Yeah.
the steps to reproduce, that sounds very relevant to the research citation object. So that's one of the things
Oh.
we're
Mm-hmm.
interested in doing is enabling reproducibility, but
Mm-hmm.
not of the experiment, but of
Mm-hmm.
any uh, data analyses and stuff that could be reproduced through like a provenance, like this software. how it's being used to analyze these data and then produce
Mm-hmm.
this output. So
So yeah, for
is
RCL, for single data set, it's much easier. Like I said, you can describe. Typically, a lot of data set is associated with the publication. So the underlying data supporting, figures or tables in a publication, right? But for RCL, you have a gazillion data set, right? So this steps reproduce, we'd have to cover all your data set. So a descriptive uh thing won't work. I think it almost has to have like a DOI for each data set, for example. So if you use a protocols.io, that's a method repository. You can get a DOI to a method. It's really recipe-like, has a version control, step by step. If you publish a method, then you just put a DOI for particular data set. But I can't imagine when you have like hundreds of data set trying to capture, set to reproduce for all those, data set would
yeah,
be
and
daunting.
that's and we do make that distinction. There's provenance and then there's RCO provenance. And we make the distinction. We're not trying to do like literal reproducibility, but I
Hmm.
think we call it something else. It's
In terms of,
traceability. So you can
oh
say like
yeah, uh-huh.
almost at a more abstract level, these data were used with these softwares to produce this outcome. And all the individual processes that were used in the research don't need to be resolved. But we could link to the full provenance chain if we wanted to. It would never be part of the RCO.
Right. But that has to be handled within LDO. That's what I'm saying. So
Mhm.
this one is at the RCO level. This is at the record level. For example, it'd be RCO. So RCO cannot capture all the provenance for hundreds of individual LDOs. It'd be impossible. So I think for provenance for particular either data set or software or publication has to be handled within the individual LDL.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point, and
LCL, I'm
I
sorry.
think it
Yeah.
helps to look at where
It's
situations where this
LDL,
has
yeah,
actually
yeah.
been done to know what it really takes
Right.
rather
So in
than
our
being
case,
abstract about it.
right. So we're not talking about RCL. We're talking about individual data set, which is kind of like LDL, right? So it's easier to capture. But for something like RCO, which has we are expecting hundreds of LDOs, uh, only way we can do it is having like a method DOI or, publish it like a README that describes a provenance or traceability somewhere and then put a link there or something like that. But you also have to link that DOI to the individual LDO DOI or URL, whichever, because we decide to allow URL, not just, DOI, right? So you see what I'm saying? So you
Mhm.
have to kind of keep that in mind. We're talking about record level metadata here, not individual or LDO. I mean, not the RCO level metadata.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we keep going. Okay, this is the README. So this is a template developed by Cornell, which everybody uses and kind of customized, but general is pretty much the same. So you see that this was generated by what date by someone. So usually depositor, and then we have I would probably add something like a reviewed by my name if I was a curator, and then completion date, final date. So we capture that, and we can delete all the other stuff. And there's a general information which it captures the title, authors, organization, funding information, award number, date of data collection, geographic location of data collection, language, contextual description of data, and DOI for the data set. This one comes from our repository. So when I assign a DOI, it has a specific format, so we just put that in. So it's done at the end. But this information has to match the information they put it into metadata collection sheet. So they have to be consistent because metadata collection sheet information is not available publicly. I enter it, but we don't upload that file. README, on the other hand, gets uploaded with the data. So people, they can download and everything. So it has to match. And then sharing access information, data, and file overview. This one, if you have a lot of subfolders, and I just asked them to list the subfolders, and then each subfolder can have its own README, then you can describe more file level details here. So you can do it that way. If you have like a vested structure, like with the subfolder and everything.
I've
And the
I've
method.
seen I've seen this called a journal in the past. It's like a archiving journal,
Uh-huh.
and the it could include, like in the earth sciences, it could be the lat long coordinates for, the stations, or like the derived, all the measurements are coming from these coordinates, and that's
Mm.
just pulled out into a container like this that's easy for people to just to understand how this data set came to be.
Right. So the README, the GitHub has the README, right? So it's like you're describing how data were collected, how it's a process, and how was it for code, how was it developed, and all that stuff. So all that stuff. And the last part of methodological information is the contributors. So who did what? But you can go into more details, but at the high level, at minimum, we recommend people to use a credit contributor role taxonomies for standard language in a way. So we ask them to do that. So but a lot of times people have they're not used to this concept, so we have to kind of educate as we do this, like what quality control they applied, what method they use, what software instrument and all that stuff. So if you actually have a PID for instrument and software, that'd be awesome. You can use RID, which is another PID sort of. So you can use a pittance for instrument, you can use RID for software, or even if you use a core facility, you can use a RID of a core facility or something like that. All those things can be captured in README. Um, and then there's a data type specific information that, how many variables you have, how many rows you have each data. Anyway, so now fun part. We're going to do a live demo. So this is the list of data sets I'm going to show you. So I'll give you some open data set examples. We're going to go through the landing page of two open data set examples. And restrict data set, this is interesting because we have almost like three options. One is you can just create a metadata only record with no files uploaded whatsoever. This is possible if a sub-organization within WashU has their own secure platform, has their own D2F process in place already. Then we let them handle it. So we create a metadata record for discoverability sake and assign a DOI because they don't have the ability to assign a DOI. So we do that, but we put a link uh, for others to go and actually request the data associated with the metadata record. So that's called the metadata only record. The other case is we so that's a ICDK, Eric, and then this one also is handled that way. The other one is we actually upload the data and we handle the D2A process. And once they execute the D2A, which means requesting institution sign the data transfer user agreement, then we give them access to secure platform. They download and then we close the access. So we handle that. Hybrid model is a very interesting case. So actual data is hidden through the data request access. But for example, again, like we have Alzheimer's disease research core, and they've been doing this for decades. So they have a very well established access request process, approval process. So we let them handle it. But not only we create a metadata record, we also upload README, data dictionary, and all the other stuff that will help others understand what's available. We even have a folder structure, text file, so they know exactly what data is available. So informed decision. We help them make informed decisions. So those are freely available. So in from first look, it looks like an open data set because there are files they can actually freely download. But actual data underneath are hidden. So they have to actually click the link in the data description and request access through their platform. So I call it hybrid model because the landing page looks like open access, but actual data is not available. You have to go through DTUA process. And then I show you how to actually iterate the data, how I upload the file into our platform and then enter the metadata record. So are you ready? So I'm gonna click on one of those links and hopefully they open the data.
Yeah, no, that
There you
sounds
go.
good.
All right, yay. So this is a one example. This one, look at it. This one is the 88 gigabyte with the almost 70,000 files into two main folders, but they are like
The
1,651 subfolders. It's a huge data set, right? So it looks
the
at,
font's a little small. Is it possible to zoom in a
yeah,
little?
yeah. Is that better?
Yeah,
Is
that's
it
a
good?
lot better.
Okay.
That's
So
good.
you have this matrix showing how many people view this data set, how many people download this data set. It has a thing. And if you click on each individual, it has ORCID ID. Unfortunately, they just implement something dumb. Uh, it's not unauthorized. It's not authorized because we don't, allow end user to upload. So they don't connect their ORCID ID. We enter it for them. So it says the unauthorized, but it is a correct ORCID ID. It's just something they just recently implemented, and we're kind of negotiating with them. Hey, this doesn't look good.
It
But
says
anyway, so
unauthenticated, which doesn't mean it's not authorized. It's just it's like they
yes,
haven't signed in yet.
correct. So the owner of this ORCID ID has not connect their ORCID to this platform. That's what it means. Yeah. Anyway, and then there's a affiliation, which is a ROR ID connected, and then here's the contributions. This is a has more details than just a credit, you know, role taxonomy, but you can put that in. So then there's a description, and then if you can download them all, and then it comes with the checksum file, so you can make sure you download the correct file, and you can download README. So if you go to individual folder, so subfolders sometimes have its own README, and then it'll kind of show you more details about. If you click on it, I don't know if it's gonna. Yeah, see, has a like a general information refers to the master README, and then has a more the subfolder level specific information like what's in the each folder or something like that, right? So that's how it goes. And then there's an institution, some people are associated with this one, and the category is like a discipline. And then there's a funder information. And this is the custom metadata field I was talking about. Additional metadata, keywords is the additional metadata. This one does not have a additional institution. Sometimes they don't have a role ID, then you have to manually enter. And the related links, they are articles. They're all articles. There's nothing else. But
I'm
sometimes they have a
curious, what is the related link? This doesn't imply that um, it used the data, so it's not like a reverse citation. What
so
is, are these just any publications like we were talking about in the Turn example?
no, so this one they use some of the data. Then so it's related is a very broad term, right?
Hmm.
It's a very broad term, but sometimes you can say is a source. If it's a secondary analysis, you can say it's a source of this data. Is what I'm saying. If they actually have a publication, um,
Oh,
or,
that text that's below the article, it says is
yeah,
related
yeah,
to this data
yeah.
set. You
That's
can
a yeah.
customize that somehow.
Oh yeah, there's a drop. I'll show you when I actually show you. But it's not
Okay, yeah, that's
it's
cool.
not like a unlimited. You only have so many choices in the drop down menu, unfortunately. But
No, it's
data
good
set
that
have
it's
a
controlled because
yeah.
without that, it's just a list of. Citations without any idea what the relation is.
Right. So in a bit, hang on a second. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the next set. This one is a more recent one. So uh, yes, this is cite this data set. This is what we put into that uh, DOI citation and README. So this is like a set when you do that. Again, same sort of thing. This one, I think it used a more standardized contribution, like a credit role taxonomy definition. And then there's a description. And the reason I chose this one, look at the steps to reproduce. The other one has a lot more verbiage, right? But this one, actually, they published a really detailed method in STAR method. So they just cite the DOI. So you can do it that way. So it's I actually prefer this way than because it has
In
more detail.
that format, is that a real link or is it just stored as text? So you need some
It's
human in the loop to use
yeah,
it.
you can just control C and open it.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that. It's not clickable. It's a
But
text
it's
field. Yeah.
to start with, it sounds like it's already a machine readable file of some sort. I don't know, it's an article.
It's
Okay, so it's
a
a methods
yeah,
article.
it's a method article, yeah.
Would you
But
also put that below in those cited works?
in
Related links?
related links has only three options: publication, data set, and software. I could do it as an article, article,
Mhm.
but
It would
since
lose
this is
that
a
semantics that it's a step to
method.
reproduce.
Exactly. So for example, if you publish a method in protocols.io, I would definitely put it in here, not down there. You see what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
it's really about method that it help you reproduce the result. So this is a much better place to put in, I think. I asked them to actually add protocols as a drop-down menu, not just article, software, I need a separate category for protocols. Then I put that in here. You see what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
But right now I don't have that option. So yeah, it has a lot of funders and yeah, so I chose this example because this part, it's a little so you can do it that way. And next one, let's move on to the metadata only record. So this one, see, it's a restrict access. You just have a request access, but see, to request access, users must register for an account and complete a data requested license agreement available via the ICD-KP request portal. So you just, take this one and then highlight and then copy and paste into your browser, and then it takes you there. And you have to create an account and everything. So they have a well-established process. But
Mhm.
people can just click this one, right? Because they don't see there's a fine
Hmm.
sentence here. So if they do that, it comes to us, our inbox, and we just send them this link. Hey, just you need to
Okay.
request through this site. So it's just, and then he put, so for restrict access, I asked him to put more details in open access because, files are hidden, right? So
Mhm.
provide them with as much details as possible, what this data set is about, what type of files, file type, how many people involved and all that stuff. And then there's a steps to reproduce. And
Here, I think the related links are going to be very important if
yeah,
the
yeah.
articles tell you what the data are useful
Hmm.
for.
So
You might
they,
not be able to access the data, but you can probably get what you need from there.
yeah, even has like a data set. See, this one even has a data set as a related link. It's the source of the data set. See, has a more specific
Hmm.
term. As if you
Yeah,
click on it, I'm gonna right click on it so they won't. Oh, yeah,
that's pretty good. If you're going to
yeah,
the source, maybe
right.
it
Yeah,
provides that understanding that you need what's in
right,
this data set, even though you can't access the data set itself.
right. And then have all those articles there. They have a whole bunch of articles. So I mean, even metadata only record is so much better in terms of discoverability and making machine actionable by linking all this stuff, right? So that's what the repository does. Now go back. So that's a metadata only record. And then actually, you know what? I'm going to just do it here. So ADRC, oops, I'm going to search for ADRC. So the very first one, this one was also metadata only record, but this one has a much bigger, oops, not this one, sorry. I think this one, yeah. See, restricted access. This one was a metadata only, so there are no files. So that's the very first one. When they came, they were in a rush and they didn't have anything. And actually, here, this one has two versions. If you hit compare, so this one is restricted access. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, but has very detailed description and steps reproduced, and they have so many publications for each method.
Well,
So they
yeah,
just
that's
put this
long.
one in. And
That's
that's
a lot
super
of
long.
steps.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
just a time check. We have 10 minutes left.
oh boy.
So I want to make sure you're ready, you're wrapping up. So in case we want
Okay.
to ask
So you
any
know what?
questions.
Then it might be more useful to show you how to enter this thing. Would that be better? Kind of
I
actual
I think, I actually think we're good there. Like having seen a few examples,
oh, okay.
feel like I really understand
How
at
this
least
works. Yeah.
the content model, and then
Okay.
the data submission. You've seen one
Yeah.
form, you've seen them all.
Yeah. So
Unless there was something like specific that it does that you think's good to highlight.
so this is a hybrid model. This is open access, right? See, it has a lot of, there's like a folder tree, they show you what data they have, right? Something like that. And then has a like a README,
I
and they
really
have a
like those pipes, the way that it was doing the
uh,
hierarchy and text.
yeah,
This
exactly.
this
So
must have been recent because this is something I discovered using
uh,
Gemini or something, some AI.
yeah, I had to help them because they didn't know what a folder tree is supposed to look like. So I had to,
Yeah,
give them the command to generate all this. So this is pretty cool. And then data dictionary, they have a huge data dictionary, and there's README. So this is a massive data set. They've been running this core for decades, well established. So steps reproduce again. But this is a really good model. If your repository can offer both open and restrict access, this is a really good model. So make this
mhm.
supplemented data openly available. But this is only doable if this this particular organization has its own secure platform along with the process, right? If you don't have that, we have to handle that part. And we cannot combine open and restrict access like that. So the other way we handle it, I will show an example. So if you
So
go
just
here,
let me clarify the download there, the 18
hmm
gigabytes or megabytes,
yeah, yeah.
that was going to your repository.
No, you download into your own system
I
onto
know,
your
but where are
computer.
these 18 megabytes stored? Are they part of Mendeley?
Yes. So
Okay.
their storage platform, which has a long-term archival and everything, it's actually NIST 800-171 compatible, very secure platform. So they are stored on their platform, not our local storage. It's managed by them. So I just want to give you one other example. Here's another way to handle RUNET parks. So here, so if you look at this data, this one is okay, not okay. Let's look at this one. I think this is yeah, here. So this is the restricted access. So this is the survey data. So it's a very, sensitive data, so it can't make it available. But a lot of times people are interested in survey instrument methodology, right? So what we did is we created open access data with the same authors and everything, and we link them together. So is what I'm saying. So you can,
Mhm.
So this one is pretty much the same. They're exactly the same. One is open access. This is actual data set. This is supporting materials with survey instruments and README and all that stuff.
What is the relationship in that other tab? So you're using the article link?
So we just use it is related to the data set.
And
So this is
self-referencing Mendeley's Becker at Data Commons.
Yeah, this one is referring to the restricted data set. The restricted data set is referring to the open data set, but they are connected together.
Yeah, they're actually different because they have different DOIs. They're actually different data sets.
Yeah, so there were two separate DOIs, two independent landing page with the DOI, separate DOI, but they are linked using this related links option.
And what does that buy you? Because I saw, is this the hybrid option?
This is not hybrid option. This one is restricted with no files available. The other one is open.
So you're able to post these contextual files, like the data dictionary.
Yeah, you can have a data dictionary. And this one does not have a data dictionary, it just has a README and then some survey instrument and stuff. But the hybrid model, I think I just, I can go back. So ADRC. Look at the most recent one. This one, this is a hybrid model, right? This one, record itself is open. So it has a files you can download with a link to request access. You see what I'm saying? So there's no request access button, right? They have to go here to request access. The other one, we give you this button, so they have to come to us, or the ICD-KP, this one. This one, right? So we give them this option, but actually it's in the description, it says to request access, they can go directly. But if they click here, then we'll just send them this link. But this one, it's not restricted access. So they can download this one, but if they really want the individual data, they have to go here. You see what I'm saying? Versus this one, actual files, we handle the access request itself because we own the data. It's actually housed on our platform. So we handle the DTUA process with our, JROC, our contact office. And then if the DTUA is fully executed, then we give them access to the actual data. We handle all that. But for supplementary data, we made it available openly so they don't have to come to us. If all they want is a survey instrument, all the non-sensitive data. You see what I'm saying? So we have some flexibility.